What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's FPL Team Selection time for Game Week 32. Hopefully you enjoyed the intro. That's going to play a big part in our discussion later on in this video. I'm going to go through how I did in Game Week 31. Spoiler alert, I'm not very happy with how the season is starting to go for me, but hopefully we can rectify that. So I'll talk about transfers locked in already, captaincy as well, going into Game Week 32, which is probably quite obvious, I would say, with my team, but still it's worth having a little bit of a think about. So I'm going to go through all that. So if you do enjoy the video, please do give it a like and hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and let's talk about OneFootball. So thanks to OneFootball for coming back and sponsoring today's team selection video. If you haven't already tried them out, please make sure you do. Link in the description below. Not only have we got a few weeks left of the season, so it's useful for that, like lineup news, team news, injury news, all that good stuff for the Premier League and world football. So if you're tracking like Champions League or anything like that, it's really handy. But obviously we've got the Euros coming up as well, so it's definitely worth having a football app for something like that. So if you click that link in the description below, it'll take you straight through to the Android or the iOS store, depending on what device you're using. You can give it a completely free download. It helps out the channel. You've got nothing to lose. So hit that link in the description below and see what you think. The Game Week 31 was rubbish. Like, it just was rubbish. 50 points was okay this week, right? You probably, maybe stayed around your same rank if you got 50. The problem is I only got 42 because I took an 8-point hit. Now, I'm down to 3,479. Like, the triple digits is just gone at this point. Whether or not I can get it back, we'll see. I've still got my free hit. I think my team actually looks quite good for this week as well. But obviously I've got no wild card, so I was fighting against them this week, the people that use that. And obviously, some of the key players on those wildcards were Jesse Lingard. He got 14 points, I think it was. Iheanacho got 13 points. And I talked last week about getting Iheanacho in for this week. But obviously, him getting a 13-pointer in before that had happened was hugely frustrating. And the 4-point hit, I think, was fine because I took out Tierney and Antonio. Like, I got screwed with injuries. It happens, right? So I rectified it straight away. I also took out De Bruyne because I didn't think he would start. And rather than go for Fernandes, I went for Vardy, right? So I knew I was probably going to own Vardy and Fernandes for 32. Vardy and Iheanacho. And I decided that I would go for the penalty taker first, who was definitely nailed on for minutes, etc. Guaranteed to start. Look, I didn't think that Iheanacho wouldn't start. But I think most people that had the money would have probably gone for Vardy first. I know everyone's going to scream at me. Iheanacho's stats were much, much better in the last 6 weeks. But they weren't massively higher. And over the season, Vardy's done fine. So look, we'll have to see how it plays out. Vardy is in ahead of Bruno Fernandes for me. We'll see how that plays out over the next 4 weeks, right? If it punishes me, fair enough. But I don't think many people are going to captain Fernandes, apart from in Game Week 33, which we'll talk about in a sec. Trent came in as well as part of that, which was decent. So did Jota. So Jota was a little bit annoying because he could have had more points. There was a pass to Salah in the first half. Salah really should have put it away. There was a pass that Mane should have made late on. It just didn't happen. Gundogan came on as well. I know a lot of people said, well, you should have just taken Gundogan out as well. But I'd already taken a -4. I didn't really want to take a -8, apart from I did, right? And I basically sold myself. This is what you shouldn't do in FPL. You shouldn't sell yourself the dream of what could happen. So I was thinking, right, definite clean sheet for Chelsea, for Alonso. He's definitely going to play because Chilwell played the Champions League. He's super attacking. He could get 1, maybe even 2 returns. We're looking at 12, 13, 14, 15 points. That's not really what you should be thinking about. Yes, you want hauls, but you also want like guaranteed points almost. So, like on a model, right? A model that looks at players, the top scorer every week, probably like 7 to 8 points. That's what they're predicting, because if you put that out over a season, that will add up to like 200 plus points, right? And I just sold myself the dream of Alonso, and now I'm stuck with him. And I knew I couldn't do Dawson to Alonso, and then someone pointed out in the deadline stream chat that I could do Dallas to Alonso, and I thought, right, I'm going to do it then. I took a -8. It was stupid. It was a bad mistake. I learned from it. It's kind of screwing me over now with the amount of funds I have, which you'll see in a second. He's probably going to have to go at some point, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Elsewhere, Son getting a goal, consolation goal against Man United was quite nice, I suppose. Bamford got 4 points before he got subbed. All in all, it wasn't a good week, and it wasn't a good week not to have Lingard and Iheanacho, because a lot of wildcarders brought them in. They did really well, and it kind of punished me, and I fell from like 1800th to 3,400. So I nearly halved my rank, and when I say halved, doubled. That's what I should be saying, not halved. I nearly doubled my rank. It's not looking good, for the last couple of weeks. Can we turn it around? Hopefully with the team that I got set up for now. Game week 32, I got 0 free transfers because I've already used them. I only had one to start with. 104.6 million is my squad value. I've got nothing in the bank. So I'm quite inflexible now in terms of if I want to increase a player in price because I want to go for someone different. Obviously, I would probably have to make, well, I would have to make 2 transfers to free up some money. And that man there on the right of the screen is the reason why. And I don't want to keep dwelling on him because, one, it's boring. Like, I'm even boring myself still talking about Alonso, to be completely honest. But it's going to put me on tilt. If I keep thinking it was a bad decision for the next few weeks, and every time I want to do something, I'm thinking, right, if I didn't have Alonso, that would be much better. If I keep thinking like that, it's not going to let me focus on the transfers that I want to make or that I should be making. And it's a bit like when you play when people play poker and they go on tilt, right? And they start making bad decisions. I don't want to get into that position. Now, Chilwell's obviously first choice. He's also started the last 3 games, I think. He's probably going to start against Man City as well. I can't imagine they're going to play Alonso. Therefore, Alonso does have an okay chance of starting this game against Brighton, I would say. He didn't have the best of games against West Brom, which was widely reported. I don't know if they're going to play Emerson instead. So I think Alonso will hopefully play this game. There's a lot of height in that Brighton team as well. But going forward, I can't rely on him. But this week, I have to play him. And I've got Rudiger alongside him I'm quite happy with. I'm actually benching Dawson. So over the last few weeks, I've been going through, well, here's my plan for this week, then next week, then the week after. And Dawson was going to play this week. And now I'm benching him because I've brought Alonso in. It's against Newcastle. West Ham are conceding a lot of goals recently. They're still picking up wins, but they conceded 3 to Arsenal. I think it was 2 to Wolves, but they got the win. They conceded 2 to Leicester, but they still got the win. You can't keep doing that. And Newcastle, I think we see them as this team that try and play quite deep and defensive, but I think recently they've been coming out to play a little bit. I know they did defend deep and they defended their lead against Burnley once they had it. But that was a massive result, right? They've got this cushion on Fulham now. I don't think they're going to come out and just absolutely go gung-ho against West Ham. But I don't think it'll be easy for that West Ham defence. They are starting to pick up injuries as well. But if Dawson has to come in, I don't really mind. And the thing with Alonso, at least he got fully benched. He didn't come on. So yeah, I'm okay with that, and I have to be okay with benching Dawson now. I'm just hoping that Dan Burns starts this week. I don't think it's very likely, but if he does, then he's a good option for me for game week 33. Elsewhere, Martinez in goal. Another 4-pointer, this time against Liverpool. So even if he's conceding, he's picking up a lot of saves. At this point, I don't think I'm going to sell him. I don't think I want to use a transfer on a goalkeeper. There's going to be too much chaos to come. There's going to be too many other transfers I need to make. And after Man City, he has West Brom, Palace and Everton in the next 4. Now, he also will have a double game week. I might use my free hit in that week anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me. But either way, he's got some fairly okay fixtures coming up. And West Brom in game week 33 is decent. I'm sure everyone that's got rid of him on wildcard is worried about that game and what he could do. You never know. He might concede. He might only get 2 points, but he doesn't usually. So that's the defence. Let's look at the midfield. He's in. He's in the team. All right, he's actually in the team. This isn't me talking about potential transfers. I've made them already. I made them on Tuesday night, which I'll talk about why in just a second. But yeah, Jesse Lingard's in the team. He's going to stop scoring now. There is no way he keeps up this ridiculous amount of goals and assists. He will hopefully still get some points. There's no way he keeps up 12 and 9. Just no way. I'm saying it right now. I know I've said it for weeks. I'm still saying it. Never happening. Let's talk about the other players first, because Lingard's probably the most interesting bit. So Son, obviously, keeping him double game week. Nothing more to say. I'll talk about him a little bit more when I do my future planning in a bit. Salah and Jota, I'm quite happy with. I think Leeds is a good fixture. I know they're starting to be seen as this defensive team. They haven't been conceding a huge amount of goals recently. And to be fair, they did play against Man City and Chelsea in that run. So they've done all right. But I'm not seeing them as this really good defensive team all of a sudden. And I think Liverpool will have a fairly good day there. I hope they will. I don't think it's going to be necessarily another 4 goals from them, but they can definitely get goals in that game. Jota didn't start the Champions League, so hopefully he'll be fine. to start. Salah, look, there are people starting to talk about a potential rest, right? I follow someone called Anna Woodbury on Twitter. I would recommend going to search. I've tweeted her a few times, and she looks a lot about rest times and who's being rotated and what competitions and stuff like that. And she thinks Salah is due a rest. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to definitely happen before the end of the season, because as I kind of discussed with her, he might need a rest, but they've got nothing else to play for apart from top four. So Klopp's going to do everything he can to play him. Salah probably won't want a rest either. That doesn't mean he won't get one, though, because obviously the medical team will take a look at him. How fit is he? Is he ready to go? But they have got pretty good rest periods. So if he starts this one, I'd be hopeful that he would start most games. Anna also pointed out to me that Mane, Firmino and Jota as a three have only been started once this season. Obviously, Jota was injured for a large part, but I just don't think Klopp really necessarily trusts them without Salah. And Mane hasn't been great either, and neither is Firmino. Firmino is not exactly scoring a lot of goals, so I'm fairly confident he starts. I think I'm a little less worried because I don't need to captain him this week, whereas next week I definitely will consider it. So if he was going to get a rest, I guess Leeds is the best time, but I'm not worried about it, to be completely honest. I don't have Fernandes. Now, he's only scored one goal, and that was a penalty against City, and 1 assist in the last 6 matches. So I don't have him, but Burnley at home and Leeds away are good fixtures, so I am a little bit worried. But again, this week I know that people won't captain him, so it does take the risk away a little bit. It doesn't mean he can't punish me, and in 33 that's going to be huge going without him, because a lot of people will captain him against Leeds, especially after what he did in the reverse fixture. I've just got to hope that Salah can outscore him. Let's come back to Lingard. Let's talk about Lingard. I've got him in. So that position before was Gundogan. Now, I made these transfers on Tuesday because I was going to get priced out if I didn't do them. I already let Lingard rise 0.1 million from Monday into Tuesday. And on Tuesday, I kind of knew I was going to do it. I put it up on the Patreon team reveal on Tuesday night as soon as I'd done it. And the problem for me was, obviously, I didn't know at that point that Man City were definitely going to get through the Champions League. But I thought they probably would. And then if I didn't sell Gundogan this week, I almost certainly needed to sell him next week because my Gameweek 33 team wasn't looking great. And if I didn't go for Lingard, I couldn't afford him, and I knew he probably would be the one I want. I still think there's potential for other players to kind of match or outscore him that are cheaper over the next few weeks. Bowen being one. The one reason I like Lingard over Bowen is guaranteed minutes. If Antonio comes back in or Moyes tries to change something up, I think Bowen is not necessarily guaranteed to start, although he probably is at the moment, whereas Lingard definitely is. There's no way Lingard's getting dropped in this form. So that's one thing. Plus, West Ham have got good fixtures for most of the rest of the season. Chelsea in 33 is not ideal, but after that, the fixtures are quite good. And then there's Saka as well. But for Saka, I would have needed to known that Arsenal would definitely get knocked out of the Europa League, because if they don't, then I just worry about how his minutes might be managed. But I think all things equal, minutes and stuff from now to the rest of the season, Saka will push Lingard. But we'll have to see what happens. But I just couldn't wait, because if I waited to find out about Arsenal, I knew there was a chance that prices would change my ability to do that. And obviously that is largely in part to Alonso. Because I bought him in, I've put more money into my team, and therefore I don't have enough. If I kept Dallas, yes, I wouldn't have got his 17 points anyway last week, but I'd have him on the bench ready for the end of the season, and I would have like 0.8 million more in the bank, which means I wouldn't have had to make early transfers. And the worry about doing it on Tuesday wasn't necessarily that Lingard would get injured, but what happens for Liverpool, for Chelsea, for Man United. I haven't got Man United players, I know, but Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea in particular in the Champions League. If a player got injured and he was in my team, then I've taken a hit for my 2 transfers, and I'm screwed. So far, I've come out of it okay, but there's nothing to say there won't be injury news in the press conference. So I hate doing early transfers, but I didn't want to get priced out. Lingard's in. Do you know what? I hope I get 10 returns from my team, a green arrow, and Lingard blanks this week, just so I can say, I wouldn't say I told you so, but just because he just can't keep this up. Can he? Hopefully he does now. So I'm sure most of you have worked out, right? I've already talked about having to do 2 free transfers. I already talked about the fact that I knew I was going to have Vardy and Iheanacho this week. Bam, there's my other transfer. Bamford to Iheanacho. Now, the reason I went early with the transfers wasn't necessarily because I was worried about Lingard rising again straight away. He probably will rise before the deadline. But it was that Iheanacho was probably going to rise as well. And he did. He went up 0.1 million. If I hadn't made the move when I did, I would not have been able to afford it the next day. So again, I won't go through why I hate early transfers, but I do hate them, but I just felt like I had to do them because both those players are possibly medium-term keeps. I think for Lingard, I could see a way where I keep him for the rest of the season. That was another reason for going for him because I don't want to keep changing this slot. It's not a price point where I think there's loads of points on offer necessarily. So I didn't want to keep swapping him. So he's in. And Iheanacho, the reason I've got Vardy is because the next 4 fixtures are ridiculously good. And if they are obviously are for Iheanacho as well. Plus, as I said earlier, his stats are slightly better. Doesn't mean that Vardy can outscore him over this run, but Iheanacho just looks like a good bet. And I think a double up on that attack looks good. And I just prefer Vardy and Iheanacho to Maddison. Obviously, Maddison missed out last week. I'm expecting him to come in this week. And then Kane captain. I've not even considered Son captain, to be completely honest. I feel like you could go for Son if you're chasing, but even then, I just think Kane is a massively stand out this week. And sometimes you get these captaincy choices where it's so obvious and it's annoying that everyone else is going to do it, but I just don't care. Kane captain this week is an absolute no-brainer. Now, I have taken a 4-point hit, which means I'm benching Rafinha. I could have just played him against Liverpool, to be completely honest. But like I said, I got no money in the bank. My Game Week 33 team definitely needed that transfer because next week the team is obviously looking a little bit more shocking because there are some blanks. So that is the team for this week. I'll do some tinkering in just a sec. There's nothing I need to change. Unless there's an injury, I will not be changing this team. Kane will be my captain. Lingard and Iheanacho are in. I've got to say, if everyone starts, and I mostly include Alonso in that and maybe a bit of Salah and Jota, I think that team looks really good. The only thing that can make it better is a better goalkeeper, perhaps Lloris, or having Reguilon in the defence for triple Spurs. But for only 2 Spurs doubles, I think the rest looks good. On paper, really good fixtures, really good proven players. I want 100 points. Come on, let's get it. Okay, so this is on livefpl.net. You've probably heard me speak about this before and used it before and shown you. But this is a free transfer planner. Right? I'm not being paid to promote this. It's just really handy and it's completely free. So this is also where people check their ranks midway through a game week as well to see if they've risen or fallen. Although I wouldn't necessarily encourage that this week because there's so many games. The ranks are going to be all over the place till the end of the week. But either way, let's get on with the planner. So I've already input my transfers for this week, which are Lingard and Iheanacho. So I've saved that team. It's looking pretty good. Now, the reason I use this is because I want to see how my defence is looking for future weeks. I don't want to use too many transfers there, but also how I'm going to cope with the blank game week. So I won't necessarily go too far in advance when I'm looking at this, but I'll just show you what I'm doing. Now, I can't show you the top of the screen properly. There is a drop down here, but it doesn't show. But I can click on Game Week 33, and this is how the team looks. Now, obviously, there's some blanks, right? Son and Kane are not going to play. So Son will go out for Rafinha, Man United at home. Now, Davern, unless he starts in Game Week 32, I just don't think he's going to play. But let's say, for argument's sake, he might. I put him in, and then I've got Dawson on the bench. So I know that if Burn doesn't play, Dawson will. So just for the purposes of this, I'll just put Dawson in. So without any more transfers, and obviously I've had to take a -4 in Game Week 32 to get to this point, I've got 11 players out, plus potentially Dan Burn with a better fixture than Dawson. Also knowing full well that players like Jota and Alonso are not guaranteed starts. Iheanacho, I think, is probably okay until Harvey Barnes comes back. But the team's looking quite good, and I've got a spare transfer there. To be honest, I'm not quite sure right now where I'm going to use it. Often I've got a transfer in mind, but Vardy and Iheanacho don't need to go anywhere. None of my Liverpool boys need to go anywhere either. I might just roll a transfer. I don't think there's anyone I want to do for Rafinha right now. There's probably something I haven't quite thought of. Like Dawson, for example, to Holding or something like that could be worth a move. But as we'll see in a second, Dawson's fixtures are actually okay. And eventually I might do Alonso to Holding or Alonso to Chambers at Arsenal, whoever it might be. So that's Game Week 33. I'll just save that. There's a save button at the bottom, so I don't have to keep changing this around every time. Then Game Week 34. So this is the one straight after the blank. Bearing in mind I have got a free hit, which is in the back of my mind. So for this week, it's interesting because Liverpool are playing Man United. So I don't think there's a really good case to not play Trent. But obviously Rafinha's got Brighton, so I could play him ahead of Jota against Man United. So that week again, so straight away I'm thinking, right, Game Week 33, do I need to make a transfer? I could almost say the same thing for Game Week 34. right? If Alonso plays, it's Alonso Rudiger against Fulham, Trent against Man United, Salah as well, and I want Salah for the run-in, so I wouldn't get rid anyway. Son and Kane have got Sheffield United. There's no way I'm selling them, although I could do Son to Rashford in 33, so I'll go back and do that in a minute. Lingard's fixtures are okay, Iheanacho Vardy's fine as well, and I'm happy playing Rafinha. So there's not really too many transfers, so that would then make me go back to 33 and say, is there something I could do? Now, one of the moves is Son to Rashford. Now, I know I can't actually afford this right now unless Son goes back up in price. I'm hoping he will because he's got a double game week. But I've just put him in for now anyway. And obviously I would play him instead of one of the defenders. So then I'd have him against Leeds. And I think if he's fit and fine for this game, it could be a decent move. But then in 34, he plays Liverpool and I lose Son. So I don't know about that, right? That's something I'll have to consider. But basically, my takeaway is I've got 11 in 33, even if it's not perfect. And my team looks quite good for 34 as well. With 35, I've kind of talked about a bit already. There might be a double game week. And then in 36, there might be a blank. Now, I don't know yet which week I will use my free hit in. Because if I've got a lot of players for the double already, but then I've got a lot of players that are going to blank, it's probably better to use the free hit in the blank. If it's vice versa, I've got not many players blanking in 36, but hardly any doubles, then obviously I'll use the free hit and the double. Either way, for my team, I can be quite flexible about that. And if you look at this, straight away, okay, Rashford's got Villa, that's good. Vardy's got Newcastle. Obviously, Kane's got Leeds, so I would definitely play him. I would think about benching Lingard, but I'd probably bench Rafinha again. So I'd put Kane in. And again, that's telling me straight away that actually having Son against Leeds is probably good, right? Versus Rashford against Villa. So I probably would just keep Son. And then the defence isn't looking great. Martinez against Man United, Alonso and Rudiger against Man City. I could play Dawson. If Burns got his place back, I could play him. But maybe this is a week where I need a defender transfer, or maybe this is a week where I use the free hit and try and get ahead of everyone else. So I won't look at any further than this, but I know that Dawson's fixtures after Game Week 35 are Brighton, West Brom, Southampton. So the fixtures to end are fairly good, but I use that quite a lot. I always put it at the end of the videos because obviously if you just want to hear about the transfer, that's already done. But it's a really good tool and it helps me think ahead. So for Game Week 33 in particular, it's a big question. Do I want Rashford? Do I want Son? Or should I just save the transfer? And that transfer in 34 might be quite valuable, which might help me plan more for kind of Game Week 36 or 35 before I use the free hit. So there we go. That is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Please do give it a like and hit subscribe if you are new around here. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think about the transfers. I am a little bit worried because all I've had in my mentions the last few weeks is Lingard this, Lingard that. Why haven't you got him? He's in form. He's killing your rank, etc. What are people going to complain about now? I'm guessing Bruno Fernandes, because when I sold him, you're going to get punished. You're going to get punished. And week after week, those comments have gone because Bruno Fernandes hasn't punished me, but he has got Burnley at home and Leeds away. So that could hurt my rank now. But I feel like my team looks pretty good. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, thank you for watching. Leave a comment below, hit that like button, hit subscribe. And lastly, if you've not checked out Patreon, there is a link in the description below if you want an early heads up about any early transfers I make, i.e. this week when I did Lingard and Iheanacho, put it straight up on Patreon, and that is the place to go. Link in the description below. And thank you very much to FPL Beginner, who has signed up since the last video as well. I will leave it there. I'll be back tomorrow with a very short captaincy video ahead of a deadline stream as well. Probably be another couple of hours deadline stream, at least 1.5 hours, something like that. But yeah, I'm going. Hit that like button for Jesse Lingard. Hit that subscribe button for Jesse Lingard, and I'll see you tomorrow.